Jimmy Song, thank you for joining us. It's great to hear from a developer, coder. Are you going to be upgrading to Core v30?
I am not. I will be staying with the nodes that I have.
And so does that mean, are you staying on Core v29?
I have multiple nodes, and that's one of them. Yes.
Why do you run more than one node?
Well, I'm a developer, and I try different things and see how they're different and stuff like that. And I want one that I can access via RPC, which I have to keep around because I have a domain that I put into my programming Bitcoin book that people still access and so on. And then I have one for my own that's more for private, transaction lookup and so on. And I used to have some running in the cloud, but I don't anymore. But yeah, I mean, I'm a developer, and really, I just I like tinkering with stuff, and that's part of what I do.
One of the things that Samson said there was the amount of eyes looking at core. And that's one of the arguments I've heard against knots.
Yeah.
Do you think that's an accurate critique of knots or not? Well,
I mean, for certain, there are more developers on core than knots, and I don't think that's in dispute at all. The tricky thing is that a lot of the code from knots is straight from core, right? It's a fork of core, so it's a lot of it is honestly exactly the same. It's a bunch of different patches and changes that the knots people felt like that were beneficial. No bare multisig, for example, which I still don't understand why that isn't like non-standard yet. And that those things are part of knots. So it's not like a straightforward calculation. It's not like they're doing independent development. It's the knots takes a lot of the patches from core and so on. So it's not that straightforward.
Okay.
Are you going to run knots on one of your nodes?
I have one running. Yeah. I mean, I think it's only prudent to try stuff. I used to have a BTCD node a while back, and I tried to get a libBitcoin node up, but I never had enough resources to get one of those up. So I don't have a Libre Relay node up. Not really interested in that. That's a very small change set in any case. So yeah.
Do you think it's important for Bitcoiners who have a non-developer background or non-coding or computer science background to run a node for themselves?
Yeah, if you want privacy, for certain, right? That's the main reason why most people run a node is you want privacy. You want to verify things for yourself. If you're looking up stuff on somebody else's node, they can lie to you. So that's where the verify don't trust thing whole thing comes in. So I would say for a lot of people that's a big reason, but also the nodes are the peer-to-peer network, right? Like that is the network. And I don't think I appreciated this quite as much until this debate came up, but that's a big part of Satoshi's design for Bitcoin. And we have a situation where we have miner centralization, and there are maybe 6 to 10 mining pools that control something like 95% of the hashing rate. So if you can get things to them and bypass the peer-to-peer network, then they'll oftentimes mine it. So that's not really the original design, and I think that's not a good thing. Thankfully, we are sort of moving away from that. I don't think there's any dispute that decentralizing mining would be a good thing for Bitcoin. But like the question right now is, okay, what do we do in this weird in-between state between where we have centralized mining among 6 to 10 players, and this future that we want where we have decentralized mining, and the peer-to-peer network is where miners find out about transactions and so on. That's really the crux of what sort of spurred this debate is that we do have minor centralization, and unfortunately, not enough of them have moved over to Datum or Stratum v2, where it would decentralize mining significantly.
You had recently you posted one of your vlogs about locking the door on your house and related it to the knots versus core debate. And that I thought that was just a really simple and brilliant way to explain it to a non-developer like myself. I wonder if you could elaborate on that and tell us, give us kind of your insight on filtering spam on the network.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of weird definitions in this debate, right? Where people say, well, filters don't work. What do you mean by work, right? Like, does it prevent all possible spam from going in? And that's usually what a lot of people on the core side of the debate make it mean when they say, do filters work? Does it 100% of the time prevent this particular type of transaction? And that's a little bit of a straw man, right? Because that would require some sort of consensus change to enact. But really what you're asking when you have a filter is, does it prevent just even a little bit, right? Like having a lock on your door is not going to prevent a determined burglar from coming into your house and taking your stuff. But having one there will maybe prevent like a marginal burglar, one that's not really quite as professional. So that's how I see filters. It's not like the end all, that prevents every possible type. I mean, that would be like Fort Knox or something like that. You don't need to be Fort Knox oftentimes. But it just needs to add a cost, and that's really where I think a lot of the analysis goes wrong. Is that they say filter. A lot of people on the core side say filters are useless because it doesn't prevent all spam, but like that's a little bit of a rhetorical trick, because really all you need to do is prevent some spam for it to be effective. And that was basically my point. And I think that's where stuff like data, like removing the data carrier size, it's deprecated, so it's not going to disappear in the next release, but it's slated for deletion. Where doing an act like that is very unwise, because it's a useful tool in our toolbox. It's like saying, well, the locks don't work all the time, so we're going to remove the lock, right? I mean, not tomorrow, but sometime in the future, we'll just remove the front door lock. And it's that just seems like a very unwise move to me.
Where do we go from here? Do you think we just decentralize sort of clients and get a third and a fourth client beyond knots, or maybe there's a path to a compromise around op return limit? Do you think what do you think of?
The core developers that signed that letter were pretty emphatic that they wanted these changes to go through. There was a huge community uproar, as you know, and that the pull request had some 400 comments or something ridiculous, and a lot of knacks and things like that, but they still pushed it through. So to me, I don't think they're budging on this one, not unless, like, I don't know, maybe the people that are funding a lot of these devs are like, hey, like, I'm pulling your funding unless you do that. Even then, I'm not sure that would happen. So they seem pretty dug in. There is the knots side. Is there room for a third or fourth implementation? Probably. But that requires a lot of skills and developers and probably money and things like that. Is there funding for that and so on? I don't know. Right? These are all open questions, and we don't know where it goes. But I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I wouldn't be surprised if some sort of compromise came through. Like I would consider, for example, like changing it from 80 to 160, right, instead of 80 to 100,000, and not marking it deprecated, and changing back the 0.1 sat per vbyte back to 1 sat per vbyte as enough. Like, you're allowing multiple op returns in a transaction again and stuff like that, which wasn't standard before. But I think that would be a reasonable like compromise that I think a lot of people could get behind. But like I said, I that doesn't seem like something the core devs that signed that letter seem at all interested in. And I mean, I got to tell you, I really don't understand why, because
Right.
it's just, it's a very, I've never seen like this level of resistance from core devs on community feedback like this ever.
Yeah, to do something so controversial. And I think a Bitcoin is like sort of like a plane that's already in the air 30,000 feet. And if you're going to fix it, I mean, can't take it out of the sky. Do you have a question?
No, I agree with 100% with what you're saying. And that's what I find concerning about this entire debate is they're so, antagonistic about and demanding about putting through the changes that they want to put through without considering.
Well, they had a near monopoly. If you would think of it as a for-profit entity, which is not, they had a near monopoly on users.
Yeah.
And if you're coding and you want your work to last for 1,000 years, you want to keep all your users. You wouldn't. I mean, this is a drastic. 15,
I mean, like if you're Coke and you release a new flavor of Coke and everybody's like, this is garbage, or you change your logo and it's garbage.
Right. I mean, if Coke lost 15% of their market share, like when Bud Light lost 15% of the market,
yeah. So hopefully this.
I mean.
Well, they're not like making money, right? Like
no,
this is where it gets a little weird because it's an open source project, and
yeah, but you would want it to live on. You wouldn't want to deprecate to use your own client, and your user base. You wouldn't want to erode.
I'm not sure they see it that way.
Right.
Like most likely they see it as they're doing the right thing, whatever. I mean, I still don't understand the logic. It still hasn't been explained to me why you're not changing it to 160 instead of 100,000. That just seems like you're opening the doors wide open, right? It's not even leaving a lock, removing the lock. It's just leaving it wide open.
Taking the door off. Yeah.
Like that still has, and the only reason I've gotten is, well, if somebody needs 320, then we're gonna have to do another pull request, and then somebody needs like 640, then we're gonna have to do another pull request. I'm like, okay.
It's almost like we can't get this in while we have the monopoly.
Like just because you don't want to go through the political battles more often. Like if it's like a user issue, I don't see why you would open the doors wide open.
Well, like if they're, when this whole debate started, it seemed like it was like, well, it's not really that big of a deal, so why are you even worried about it? Mm-hmm. But if they can be this adamant about and push back against the community on something that's not such a big deal, is that testing the water for something bigger down the road? And
that's one of my big concerns is that the core consensus process is a little broken right now, because consensus should mean everybody agrees. Everybody clearly doesn't. But this is
why
going
rush
through.
This through?
And for policy decision, it doesn't matter all that much. I mean, it's going to have some consequences, but it's for consensus changes that's going to result in a fork of some kind. So I worry about where like if they're this adamant on this particular change, then how are things going to be in the future when you have like an actual soft fork proposal or something like that? So
yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much, Jimmy, for chiming in. We really appreciate you breaking this down for us. Thank you so much. Yeah, we hope to have you back on sometime soon.
All right, sounds good, man.
Thank you.